Welcome, fellow explorers. My name is Christian Alexanderson, and this is Hemlocks to Hellbenders, a podcast highlighting Pennsylvania's parks, forests, and great outdoors. When I was on my journey of running 1 mile in all then 121 Pennsylvania state parks in 2021, I took notes after every run. It was an effort to make sure I would remember my experiences. I'd take notes like, I spotted a fox here, or I felt there, or I want to hike the full trail here. But one of the most important pieces of information I recorded was my overall feeling of the park. It's difficult to get a sense of a natural landscape in just 1 mile, often running half a mile in one way and then running half a mile back the same way. But some places just stand out and beg to be explored some more. Here's what I wrote about Trough Creek State Park on March 13th, 2021. Well, this place is incredible. I have to come back. It only takes a few seconds at Trough Creek to realize it's special, and that it deserves more time to be explored. You even get that sense by just driving through the park. Traveling through the scenic gorge along the Great Trough Creek, you see signs for Balance Rock, Rainbow Falls, Ice Mine, Copperous Rocks, Paradise Furnace Cemetery, and the Suspension Bridge. Your mind can't help but get excited by the idea of what the heck all these things are and how you can get to go see them. For outdoors people, it feels like entering a theme park. What ride do I do first? And with so many of these wonderful features, you'd expect it to be huge, someplace you need a week to explore. But that isn't the case. At less than 600 acres with only 12 miles of hiking trails, you can see most of it, if not all of it, in a weekend. But this isn't a one-and-done sort of park. Once you visit Trough Creek, it sinks its hooks into you. Its trails, its views, its features beckon you for many more visits. Despite the fact that Trough Creek is more than 2 hours from me, I've been there multiple times while passing other great state parks along the way. It's just that damn cool. And no matter how many times I've been there, I want to keep going back. And that's about the biggest compliment I can give to a state park. But before we learn more about the park, here's the stats. Trough Creek State Park is a 541-acre park located in Huntington County. Available activities include hiking, biking, fishing, hunting, kayaking, canoeing, picnicking, wildlife viewing, overnight accommodations, and winter activities. A notable feature of the park is the geologically confusing balanced rock. The name Trough Creek State Park is derived from the Great Trough Creek, which flows through the park. Nearby towns include Mount Union, Hollidaysburg, and Cassville. State lands that are close by include State Game Lands 67, 99, and 71, as well as Warriors Path State Park and Rothrock State Forest. You may enjoy the park if you enjoy rugged beauty. I'm excited to welcome Michael Garbinski to the podcast. Michael is the Environmental Education Specialist at Trough Creek State Park. Michael, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thank you.
How would you describe the park to someone who's never been there before?
I would say Trough Creek is kind of a place of like rugged beauty, where you kind of follow the Great Trough Creek through this gorge, and there's a lot of rock outcrops and a lot of nice trees, and it's kind of by the creek, so you can always hear that running water. But yeah, it's not exactly the easiest place to get around in, but it's really nice to kind of be out there.
The Civilian Conservation Corps is responsible for much of the work that to make Trough Creek what it is today. Can you tell us what kind of work they did?
So the CCC here, they did a lot of road building. They did a lot of trail building, and eventually they actually did some humanitarian work as well. So we were kind of reading one of the newsletters that they had. They called it Pine Chips. And there's the big flood, the St. Patrick's Day flood back in '36. And so they kind of got flooded out here, but they also went and helped out as far as Mount Union, kind of other places. But primarily in the park, yeah, they planted a ton of trees, and they did a lot of trail work. They built some of the forest roads that we have out through here. So a lot of good stuff.
Trough Creek has about 12 miles of trails. Do you have any trail recommendations?
I call it the Ledges Overlook, or the Overlook Loop. So you kind of start at Ledges Trail, which starts just down below the office. You kind of take Ledges Trail out, and there's probably the best overlook in the park. It's my favorite spot to be, honestly. And then you can either go down Copperous Rock Trail or continue on Ledges Trail, kind of depending on which way you want to go. They all loop kind of back around. That'll take you through Balance Rock, the waterfall. You'll see the suspension bridge, all that good stuff. So it doesn't quite hit everything in the park, but it has a lot of good kind of scenic vistas on it.
Yeah, I really enjoy that Ledges Trail. Exactly like you said, it provides a really beautiful area to see a big portion of the park, which is great. Sections of the trails are steep and narrow with rocks and roots covering the surface. How should hikers prepare themselves for hikes in the area?
Yeah, so that's kind of like being on that, on the ridge. That's definitely part of it. Definitely sturdy boots. I mean, I see people get up and down, in flip flops and Crocs, and I'm sure it's doable. But I definitely, recommend something sturdy on the feet. Good walking stick always helps, and definitely, water, especially when it gets hot in the summer. Uh, there's You exert yourself a little more than maybe you expected to at first.
What will visitors see if they hike up to Balance Rock?
So when they get up to Balance Rock, the first thing you kind of notice is this, huge rock jutting out, kind of facing you. So it's looks like a boulder that you would see kind of from glacial activity, but it was actually more kind of just erosion. A long time ago, these mountains were much higher, and Balance Rock just kind of it's hard to describe if you haven't seen it, but once you get up there, it's this huge piece of stone, and it's balanced pretty precariously right there on the edge. We don't do anything to moor it, we don't do anything to anchor it. The only thing we really do is remove graffiti, unfortunately. But when you get up there and it's kind of looming over top of you, it's a sight to see.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly named.
Yeah, definitely.
Great Trough Creek runs through the middle of the park. Are there any trails that highlight the creek?
Um, Not particularly. So Copper's Rock Trail, or I'm sorry, Rhododendron Trail, um, follows the creek for a little bit, but for the most part, you don't. You're usually kind of up on the ridge. You can kind of hear the creek. You can see the creek a little bit. Parts of Balance Rock Trail are by the creek. If you do want to hike by the creek, I would recommend Laurel Run. So it's a little kind of run that comes down the hill, but you're walking by it. You cross it probably two or three times, depending on how you want to do the trail, and there's some nice deep pools that have a lot of native brook trout in them as well. So they're a nice sight to see. If you really want to be by the creek, you can be by it sometimes, on Great Trough Creek, but Laurel Run's kind of my preferred trail for being near the water, at least.
Do you see people coming to the park to fish? Is that a popular activity?
Yeah, we get a lot of people fishing. We get stocked, about three times, pretty much through the whole length of the park. But near Pavilion 4, it gets hammered. There's a lot of people that show up there opening day. Our friends group, they actually host a kind of an event there, where they give out hot dogs. I guess it's free hot dogs, but and they have their merchandise and stuff. Try to drum up some interest in the group. But yeah, we get a lot of folks fishing. It's pretty busy early in the spring, and then it starts to kind of die out. Especially now, I mean, the creek's so low, you can walk half of it, and maybe probably more than half. I was standing in spots last week, walking up the waterfall because it's so dry. But in the spring, when there's a lot of water, sometimes there can be kind of too much as well. So I think first day of trout, it was pretty high. We got a lot of rain this year.
You've mentioned it a couple times so far. What are Copperas Rocks?
So Copper's Rock is a spot in the park. It's kind of a small picnic area, and the way it kind of the water came and undercut the bank, and we have this big exposure, this huge overhang of rock. Copperas gets its name from ferrous sulfate, and that is kind of a vein of mineral that runs through these rocks. It kind of has this yellowish color to it. And we don't know exactly if people did use copperas rock for mordant, but that material can be used for kind of setting dyes. So, the people in the area may have, but we don't have any proof. But you definitely can use that ferrous sulfate to set dyes.
And we should say too, it's a large kind of face. Like when you're talking about it, it's not something that's small. It's a really beautiful, colorful area in the park that when I first visited, it kind of blew me away. Where I was like, "Oh wow, look at this! Like it almost looks like art. It's so beautiful."
Oh yeah, it's this huge overhang. Folks go over there and kind of get underneath it. I typically don't. I've seen rocks come down from it. I wouldn't want to be there when they do. But yeah, I mean, can't you need panoramic, photo if you really want to get all of it into one picture. It's pretty spectacular.
What's the history behind the park's ice mine?
So the ice mine, we think, was a prospecting hole. So we had a lot of iron activity here, um, early 1800s, and we believe that was probably a place where folks, thought they found iron. They dug down into the ground, didn't really find enough to develop that area. But what they did find was an area where kind of cold air was coming out. So the way the hillside. There's, these huge boulders, this kind of talus slope, and the air kind of sinks down through the mountain. And there's some form of vent that kind of shoots it out the ice mine. Uh, Before we used to have ice for most of the year. They eventually kind of changed the way the enclosure worked, made it easier for folks to get down there, but it also kind of messed up the way the condensation and stuff would happen. So I think May was the last time we had ice in there, but they used to have ice almost year round before they kind of put the walls up and changed the enclosure. It's also, we have Allegheny wood rat down there as well. So you can go down there. They kind of have a latrine site, and we've actually found, kind of the accordion ferns. So we definitely have the wood rat in those talus slopes behind it, and sometimes they'll come down and hang out in the ice mine.
Isn't that aren't wood rats or Allegheny wood rats kind of, are they rare, or are they?
Yeah, they're a protected PA species. Yeah. They might even be endangered. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like they are in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so do I.
But I don't want to say it with absolute certainty. But so they kind of hang out. They have this nice little fuzzy tail. They're like this pack rat, and they have it's tough. They're losing habitat that gets kind of split up, with kind of road building and whatnot. So it's cool to have them in the area. I haven't seen them, but we have seen the latrine sites. So they're definitely elusive, but they're around. Porcupines love that area as well. If you go down to the ice mine, you'll see they have it shooting bits. It's an uphill battle, but
that rolls perfectly into the next question. Can you tell us about what kind of animals the visitors might see on a visit to the park?
So I see a lot of, kind of a consistent sight we have some great blue heron that will kind of hang out in the creek. They're very skittish. Yeah, I kind of look at them funny and they take off. Get a little bit of kingfisher here and there. The occasional eagle and osprey we'll see in the park here. As far as mammals, we've been having a lot of squirrels this year. We'll see some deer. Coolest mammal I saw otter last year.
Oh, wow.
At the end of the season. Yeah, there's about 6 down there where the kind of creek turns into Lake Gracetown. They're swimming around. So that was pretty cool. A ton of porcupine. Boy Scouts were camping at the one pavilion. They had 6 on the one bulletin board, just kind of chowing down. So they're definitely a heavy presence. But you don't see them too often during the day. But if you're there at night, they're everywhere. That and snakes. We have kind of a colony of water snakes down by the dam ruins that you can kind of go and see, pretty much any day you want. There's one kind of big female that I've seen there since 2021. So she's missing the tip of her tail. So it's kind of neat. You can go down and identify that one and see that, they're just kind of there year after year. A handful of copperheads this year. I actually didn't get to see a rattlesnake yet this year, but, they're around as well too.
I think you might be the first person I've interviewed that actually says that you could see porcupines. It seems like I've only ever seen them run off into the woods as I am within like 20, 30 yards.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. The one day I was doing an impromptu down by Balance Rock, and there was a little kind of juvenile climbing up in the one tree behind us. So it was a nice sight. Everyone could kind of take a look and, see that not only, they're around, but they're also kind of up in the trees a lot more than you would expect.
And now, let's hear from our sponsors. Looking to get outside this winter? Join Keystone Trails Association for guided hikes highlighting bird migration, maple sugaring, and more. To learn more, visit kta-hike.org. It's better outside, especially with a Purple Lizard map in your pack. Their award-winning cartography helps you see the big picture and explore some of the best outdoor destinations in Pennsylvania. Each map reveals trails, forests, and small towns waiting to be discovered, helping you plan, wander, and reconnect with the world around you. Discover the Pennsylvania Outdoor Recreation Map and the full collection at purplelizard.com, where outstanding maps lead to outstanding adventures. Hey fellow explorers, this is a message from the Pennsylvania Parks and Forests Foundation. You know those incredible state parks and forests Christian talks about on every episode? We're the ones helping make sure they stay incredible. From maintaining the trails you hike to engaging volunteer groups who make your experience better, to supporting conservation projects that protect Pennsylvania's natural treasures while keeping these places accessible. We're behind the scenes making it happen. Whether you're planning your next waterfall hike or just dreaming about your favorite overlook, know that PPFF is working to preserve these special places for future generations of explorers. Learn more at paparksandforests.org. Looking to add some Pennsylvania charm to your space? Sister Sunflowers has you covered. Their unique stickers highlight the small local spots that make your community shine, from quirky caves to hidden gems. Perfect for your laptop, water bottle, or anywhere that needs a little hometown love. They got stickers, magnets, prints, and even a hand-drawn poster to keep track of the Pennsylvania state parks and forests you've explored. Use code HELLBENDER15 for 15% off your first order. Support local, inspire adventure, and decorate with meaning. Only at Sister Sunflowers. Are you looking for a getaway that feels remote yet is surprisingly easy to reach? Discover Clarion County in western Pennsylvania. Within minutes, you can wander the timeless old-growth beauty of Cook Forest or paddle the peaceful Clarion River. Explore endless trails, breathe deep, and find the escape you've been missing. With lodging from luxury cabins and high-end Airbnbs to family campgrounds and budget-friendly hotels, your perfect stay awaits. Plan your escape at discoverclarioncounty.com. Clarion County, your trailhead to happiness. Ready to trade the office commute for fresh tracks in Pennsylvania's Laurel Highlands? Close the laptop, grab your gear, and get out on snow-covered terrain. You can ski or snowboard at your choice of 4 resorts, or you can cross-country ski or snowshoe, or take a winter hike and soak it all in. And when it's time to slow things down, there's still plenty to do. Settle in with great food, plenty of laughs, and a cozy place to stay. Maybe a cabin in the woods, a treehouse hideaway, or even a stay in Nemacolin, an ultra-luxury resort. You can plan your winter escape at GoLaurelHighlands.com. All right, back to the show. What kind of camping options are available for visitors?
So we have, as far as camping goes, we have 28 rustic sites here. So they have electricity, they have the tent pad, fire ring, that good stuff. We don't have flushable toilets, so kind of they're pit latrines and no shower house. But we kind of like it that way. It keeps it, you're out here, there's no cell service. So, you are kind of roughing it. I mean, if you have a big camper, it's probably a little easier, but I tent camp, so it's kind of, you're out and you're enjoying it. We do have water. We got a new water system too, so it's a lot clearer than it used to be. We have a lot of iron in the ground, and that caused some problems, but now it's pretty much clear, and it's good to drink.
What is the Trough Creek Lodge?
So the Trough Creek Lodge is the old Ironmaster's mansion. So it was built in the early 1830s. I have an exact date here. 1843 was whenever it was kind of finished. And it is it belonged to the Trexler family. So they came out from Berks County, developed this iron furnace out here, and they built that mansion to live in. And we kind of, once we took control, we renovated and we actually rent it out now. So it sleeps about 10 people. We have, bunk beds in some of the rooms, kind of full beds in other rooms. Finally got air conditioning, so there's a mini split in there, so it's pretty nice. But it's open year round. Folks can kind of come in and use it all throughout the year, so it's nice. Some people come and they'll do Thanksgiving there, Christmas, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. There was I'm trying to kind of hunt down, there's some oil paintings of these Iron Masters and his wife, and I'm trying to hunt them down. I kind of seen pictures of them, but it's kind of an elusive thing. But I think that'd be pretty neat for in there as well, to see kind of who was there and who paid to have it built.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. The land was used in the 19th century for iron making. Are there any remnants of furnaces that people can visit in the park?
Yeah, we have a Paradise furnace. So it's about 30 feet tall, and it's kind of, it's a little different than some of the furnaces in our parks, as we kind of have just let it, nature kind of take its course. We haven't really done anything to renovate it. We don't repoint the stones. We do try to keep the vegetation down when possible. So the remnants of Paradise Furnace kind of sit there on site, and you can kind of see into where the Bosch would be. It's a little bit filled with stone. There's some kind of holes. It really helps you see the interior of what was kind of going on there.
What is the Paradise Furnace Cemetery?
So the Paradise Furnace Cemetery is kind of up a little trail. It takes you, you start at the furnace, you go up this trail, and a lot of folks that worked in the area, lived in the area, are buried up there. We have some kind of descendants of Nicholas Crumb, who we kind of think was the first European that settled in the area. I believe his son and grandson are buried up there. So I think the oldest stone we have is 1830-ish. There's a lot that you can't read as well. So there's probably, I would say maybe 10 or so stones that are legible, and there's a ton that are just kind of field stones. So it's kind of eerie sometimes. It's, the forest almost knows it's a solemn place, and you kind of go up there, and for me, maybe it's your mind playing tricks on you, but it just seems quieter than everywhere else. And it's really kind of neat. These people worked and lived here and, kind of shaped the land, and, they stayed here with the land.
What do you love most about the park?
I like, again, the ruggedness of it. I think it's challenging, and it's kind of one of those things you could imagine, coming here before anything was industrialized. The trees were probably huge, and, just, you would have felt like you're in another planet. Everything just kind of picturesque. You'd go through, and the creeks kind of running and raging, and we have these huge kind of just rock faces that, it's just spectacular. But yeah, definitely kind of the geology of it's really pretty. um, I like running water, so being by the creek is great. You kind of hear it rushing and kind of running, especially in the spring. It's something special.
Is there something everyone should experience when they visit?
Yeah, definitely. So the kind of the big draw we get in the summer is the Balance Rock Trail. So you kind of park there. You can go across the suspension bridge, which is pretty fun. People like bouncing it. Then you go up and you go past Rainbow Falls. So this time of year, not quite very spectacular. On the spring, it's excellent. But then you go up some steps and you hit Balance Rock. And, if you're kind of just here you want to do an hour, you can get up and back in like 40 minutes. It's a pretty short trail. The steps are kind of the toughest part, which those are the steps the CCC built as well. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, so that's kind of definitely a short trip. You can get in, out, and then drive down, check out the ice mine. You can see a lot of the kind of big sites and Copper's Rocks right along the road as well. So you can kind of hit a lot of the main kind of spots pretty quickly.
If a visitor has a weekend to explore the park, what would you recommend they do? Obviously, check out the big spots. Do you think go on a couple hikes, maybe fish?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely like Laurel Run Trail is kind of one that gets slept on a little bit. It's a little trickier. It's a little long or a little longer, a little trickier. But it's beautiful. You go up that creek. Uh, we don't really have a ton of trails, so it's if you're here the whole weekend, you can probably hike everything. I think we have a little over 12 miles in and out of the park. Some of our trails go up into the Rothrock State Forest as well. So, but yeah, you can pretty much see everything that has a trail, associated with it if you're here for the weekend and you kind of put your mind to it. But you can also fish. We have like a soft launch area where you can kayak as well. So you kind of go down at the end of the creek, and it puts you out into this cove in Lake Racetown, and it's pretty quiet. You can see a lot of water birds, some big old carp floating around, and then you can paddle for a decent bit before you run into kind of any significant boat activity as well. So it's a pretty nice little area.
Do you have a favorite time of year in the park?
Yeah, so kind of depends on what I'm looking for. Fall foliage from the ledges overlook is awesome. It's you kind of get up there on all the trees are those different colors, which doesn't look like we're going to get too much of this year. Everything's kind of brown already, but generally it's just gorgeous. If you go up in the morning, the sun's kind of starting to rise. There's usually a lot of fog in the area, so you kind of see this fog cloud over top of stuff, and the colors starting to really hit the sun. um, Ledges Trail definitely in the fall. In the spring, the waterfall and just the creek are kind of really really interesting. It's kind of intense how one day the creek's low, and then we'll get rain for a day and a half, and it's 6 feet up, and it's just kind of flying. It's really goes up and down so fast, and it's something to behold. The power of water is kind of really fully on display in the springtime when we start to get those rains.
Yeah, the last visit I think I took, I was actually with my parents, and we hiked up to Bounce Rock, and I think it was just after rain, and that waterfall was going.
Yeah. When we get significant rain, that it's I can see probably why they call it Rainbow Falls. I imagine it kind of you can get some mist going on whenever it's really kind of pouring down.
When would you say is your busiest time of year at the park?
Definitely the kind of peak summer season.
Yeah.
Being so close to Lake Racetown, not this year, but in a typical year, we get a lot of day use traffic from over there. Lake Racetown Resort is kind of a private entity where we get a lot of day use traffic from them as well. And then our campgrounds usually, not exactly capacity every weekend throughout the summer, but pretty close, if not too full. So we definitely get a lot of folks from all over. It's kind of neat going down through and looking at the license plates in the Balance Rock parking lot. multiple states, and there's definitely still a lot of Pennsylvania folks. When we talk to people, we get a lot of people from kind of out east in Pennsylvania as well. So we kind of get that Lancaster area. Really like to come down through here.
As you said, Rothrock State Forest and Raystown Lake National Recreation Area border the park, making a large contiguous area of public land for recreation. What do you recommend visitors do outside the park?
Kind of depends on what you're into. So with the lake, we are really kind of really fortunate. Like you said, it's a huge kind of an outdoor wonderland. Rothrock's enormous, 27 mile long lake. So you can really get a lot of good stuff in. Rothrock has a lot of good hiking. If you go up kind of a little further away, most of our part of Rothrock, we have some trails, but kind of some of the more popular stuff's closer to Center County. So you have Allen Seeger Natural Area. So that's a really good spot. That's kind of nice to check out. If you're looking to do some hiking, 1,000 Steps is really cool. People like that a lot. It's definitely a bit of a physical challenge as well. So you get some runners that shoot up past you, and you really kind of feel bad about how not in shape you are, but yeah. It's still fun. I really like the disc golf. So Raystown has 2 disc golf courses over there. They have a little 9-hole that's pretty manageable for beginners, and they have a pretty demanding 18-hole that kind of goes through the ravine, and you're really doing a lot of up and down. If you like boating, Raystown's unlimited horsepower. So if you have a big motorboat, you can go kind of nuts with it. But it's still a good time for like pontoon boats and stuff like that as well. Alagrippa's trail system over in kind of the 7 Points area, they're good for mountain biking as well, if that's kind of your thing. And then just a ton of hiking. There's just kind of trails all through the place.
Yeah, I think your area is like one of the best in the Commonwealth in terms of the variety of activities that you want to do. You want water, you want hiking, you want biking, you want kayaking, there's pretty much anything you want to do, you're going to find in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of embarrassment of riches over here. It's really nice.
Do you have any tips for people who plan on visiting the park, or any suggestions to make their visit as enjoyable as possible?
Yeah, definitely have your route planned out ahead of time, especially if you're hauling a camper. GPS notoriously wants to bring people back forest roads. It's probably the fastest way mileage wise, but when you have a 30-foot camper and you're going down a very narrow road with twists and turns and rocks, we've had it happen. We've had people kind of have to back out and get stuck. It likes to take tractor and trailers up the mountain road. So definitely check your route before you come. Make sure it's not taking on anything a little too tough that you don't want to handle. Also, just be prepared. There's no service here. It's when you're here, you're here and you're isolated. And I find that as a perk, but it's definitely something you should be prepared for. Bring a book, because you're not going to be able to scroll on your phone. That's for sure. As far as anything else, I mean, we're relatively close. So if you do forget stuff, it's 10-15 minute drive to go somewhere to a store where you can get it. So we're not so isolated that you're stuck an hour out and you're kind of out of luck. But yeah, I would definitely say be prepared with your route, and just be prepared to be kind of here with whoever you brought, because there's definitely no reception. You got to travel if you do want it.
Michael, thanks so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I want to thank my guest, Michael Garbinski, for joining the podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Meta for more information about upcoming episodes. You can support the podcast by buying merch at hemlockstohellbenders.com, or you can click support this show in the podcast description to provide a monthly donation. This has been Hemlocks to Hellbenders. I'll see you out there. Hosting, production, and editing by Christian Alexanderson. Music by John Sauer. Graphics by Matt Davis.